Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you as a beginner how to fold your fabric for cutting. Even if you do it on a paper and you are placing it on your fabric, how you are going to fold the fabric so that you don't get it wrong or you don't mess up your fabric. If you don't know how to fold your fabric well, you will end up destroying the fabric, something that you can use 2 years to, so you end up using 3 or 4 years. Do you get it? So we are going to learn how to fold our fabric. Therefore, if you are watching me and you have not yet subscribed, I beg you, consider subscribing. Don't just subscribe, click on the notification bell and select all. Do you get it? And also do well to share this video for me. Leave a comment as well. Okay, so let's get to business. I have these fabrics here that I'm going to use to show you. Now, when it comes to fabrics, we have some of the fabric, they have directional pattern. We have some of them, they don't have directional pattern, so it doesn't matter how you fold them. If you are using fabrics that has directional pattern, then you need to be considerate, especially on how to fold them, so that you don't end up turning it upside down. And we have some stretchy fabrics here that you're also going to consider when you are folding stretchy fabrics, how to go about it so that you get it right. Okay, so I'm using these fabrics. This kente fabric has a pattern where you can just fold it anyway. It can go either straight. You can decide to use this one for the down or this one for the down or here for up. We don't have a specific. The only thing you see is that the lines are vertical. Do you get it? The lines are vertical, they are not horizontal lines. That is the designs, they are vertical. They are not horizontal lines. Okay. And so with this, you don't have a lot of headache when it comes to folding, because you can fold it anyway. You can decide to use this side as your down part or upper part and you will not get it wrong. You can decide to also use this part as your down part or upper part and you still not get it wrong. You get it right. And so if you are folding this, let's say you have this cut out and you want to place it on a fabric and then cut. You don't just place it on the fabric in the middle like this and then draw and cut. When you do that, you have spoiled everything here. You might not be able to use it for anything better. Now, when you are folding, to decide, do I want this part to be the down part or where do I want this design to be? So let's say you want this design to go down, then you fold this according to this. You fold it according to this. In order not to waste your fabric, you are going to fold it according to this. So you see, at the end of the day, this you are going to cut two, and so you fold it this way, and then you are going to consider this is the longer point, so you are going to consider the longest point. Then you bring it back this way, you see. And then if this is going to be the down, then this is supposed to go down this way, you see. And then you place your pattern on it. It's making sure that everything is okay. Then you draw it out, you see, and then you cut it. So after cutting this, you realize that you have enough fabric for other things. You will not waste it. Okay. Now, if you are sewing for people, you have to consider lines, vertical and horizontal. And so like the way this one is made in a vertical lines, if you are sewing for a slim person, maybe you want to add a bit of volume to the person. So instead of using the vertical lines, you have decided to use horizontal lines. So in this case, you are not going to fold the fabric this way to get the vertical lines. At the end of the day, you want to get horizontal lines. And so it means you are going to turn the fabric and then fold the fabric this way. And then fold the fabric this way. You see, so if you fold it this way, you are going to get horizontal lines. Now, with this, you have to bear in mind that you are not going to consider this again. Maybe you have to cut this and then use it for a design that you want. If you want to make it horizontal designs, then it means you are going to fold it this way and then place your fabric on it. And you know, depending on the design you want to have, maybe you don't mind having this in the middle, so it means you are going to have it this way and then you place it on it. But if you really want to design this, then it means you are going to forgo this You are going to forgo this and then cut it off. Place this here, you see, and then mark it out and get your pattern and cut it. Then maybe you use this for a design. So when you are sewing a fabric with lines and you want to consider vertical and horizontal, this is how you go about it. Don't just pick the fabric and then fold it into two this way and then just place it in the middle and cut. By the time you realize you have spoiled the fabric. Okay, so we are going to put this aside and then pick a different fabric. Okay, so this one too, it doesn't have a serious directional pattern. Looking at the flowers in it, anywhere you place it, it will be okay. Anyhow you want to cut it, it will be okay. And so let's say maybe you don't have a pattern. You want to place everything on the fabric and cut. You want to place all your measurements, take measurements on the fabric and cut. And so you have not done any pattern where you are going to fold the fabric and place it on it and cut. And so one, you need to know the style you are cutting. Let's say you are cutting a skirt. If you are cutting a skirt, which part is your larger part? The larger part of your measurement is what you will use to fold the fabric. And so maybe the larger part is the hip. And so if the hip is the larger part, the measurement, let's say, is 46. Now, if your hip is 46, that 46, you are going to divide it into 4. Do you get it? And if you divide 46 into 4, you are going to get 11.5. So this 11.5, you have to add plus allowance, maybe 2 inches or 3 inches. So let's say 3 inches. And that's going to give you 14.5. And so as a beginner, you can run it to 15 or maintain the 14.5. Now, if you have this 14.5, it means 14.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you get it? 14.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so when you are cutting the front part of the skirt, it means you are going to fold the fabric 14.5. So you open your fabric this way, and then you get the edge of the fabric. You have to get the edge. So this is the edge of this fabric. This is 6 yards fabric. This is the edge. Okay. So so you open up the fabric this way, and then you are going to fold it to the 14.5. Okay. And so you fold it this way. You take your tape measure, and then you measure and see if you have 14.5. So this is 12.5. Then you go a bit again, and then you will get your 14.5. Then you get your 14.5. You see? So you get your 14.5 this way. It is folded into 2, meaning this is what? For front. For front. You fold it this way, and then you have your 14.5 or your 15 inches. Then when you have it this way, the next thing is to place the skirt length on it. The skirt length. So the skirt length, you place it here, and then you measure. Maybe the skirt length is 25, and so you measure. If it's a long skirt, you measure. Maybe it's 40. You measure your 40, and then when you measure your 40, you don't leave it there. You add 1 or 2 inches to it for sewing allowance, and then you mark it, and then you are going to cut on the allowance, and then cut this way, and that will be for your front. You have cut a fabric for your front. You cut it and place it aside. Then you have to cut for the back. Now the back, you don't have to fold it exactly 14.5. You are going to add zip to it. If your zip is going to be in the front, then it means the front that you have folded, you are going to add zip allowance. So maybe your zip allowance is 2 inches. If it's 2 inches, then it means 2 inches on each side. So the 14.5, you are going to make it 16.5. Do you get it? 16.5. 16.5 this way. And then you measure the skirt length, and then you cut it on that allowance, and then straight. So you will get 2. When you finish, you get 2 folded fabric. 1 for front, 1 for back. One will be 14.5, one will be 16.5, and that is how you cut for your skirt. Then after you place your measurements on it, I have a video on how to cut skirts. and sew. So you can watch it and then follow how to fold your fabric and cut it. And so if you do it this way, you are not going to get it wrong. But if you just pick the fabric and then you just fold it this way and then you cut it without considering anything, you are going to what? Get it wrong. At the end of the day, you will waste fabric. So all the time, consider the edges of the fabric, consider your measurement, the larger part, and consider your allowances and your that. And so the 3 inches that we added, if I am sewing a skirt, I usually add 3 inches allowance. 1 is for that and 2 inches for my extra allowance. You get it? So this is how you fold your fabric for your what? Your skirts, either short or long skirts. Okay, so this is for what? For fitting. Now let's say you are sewing a goddess or what? A pleat. If you are sewing a goddess or a pleat, then it means your waist measurement to times it by either 2 or 3, depending on how much you want as goddess or how much you want as pleat. Let's say if the waist measurement is 30, then you are going to times it by 3, and that is going to be what? 90. And so at the end of the day, your skirt length, you see, your skirt length is maybe the waist, so you are going to get 90, and then maybe the length is 25. So it means this edge here, you are going to fold it. 90 divided by 2 is going to be 45. So you are going to fold it this way, 45. Then you measure and see if you have your 45. If you don't have your 45, this is not up to 45, you keep on folding till you get 45, and then you measure your skirt length like this. And then if it's your skirt length is 25, this is 25, you add extra 2 inches to it and cut. Maybe your skirt, you are going to add band to it. If you are going to add band and the band is 2 inches, then instead of marking 25, you are going to mark 23. By the 23, you add 1 inch to it to make it for what? Your sewing allowance. Then you cut it, and this what you get at the end of the day, you are going to get 90 width and then 24 length, and that's what you are going to gather or make it a pleat to get your what? Your goddess or your pleat. You get it? Now let's say your skirt length is 22. Now if your skirt length is 22 and your waist is 30 times it by 3 and you have 90, then it doesn't mean you should fold the fabric straight to 45 and cut. Now measure the length of this. Measure the length of this fabric. When you measure the length, you will realize that you have a length of 46. And so if you have a length of 46, at the end of the day, if you divide it into 2, you are going to get 23. Do you get it? You are going to get 23. And the skirt, you are going to add band to it. That is, I'm talking of either goddess or pleat. You are going to add band. So if you are going to add band, at the end of the day, the band is 2 inches. So if you deduct 2 inches from your skirt, that is 22. Then it's going to be 20. Then the 20, you add 1 into it. So instead of folding out to 45, instead of folding out to 45, you are rather going to divide 45 into 2. Don't get confused. You are going to divide 45 into 2, and that's going to give you 22.5. And that's because you have this length to be able to take care of the skirt. So you have 22.5. So okay, so I have 22 here, which is okay. Then it means if you open this, it's going to give you 45. If you open this, you are going to get 45. So you will just, instead of folding up to 45, that's when you open, you get 90. You rather fold it 22.5. So when you open, you're going to get 45. And then you're going to cut on this line. You're going to cut on this line. When you cut on this line, you will divide this into 2. When you divide it into 2, it is going to take care of both front and back. Or as gathers, then what? You join it together and gather or pleat it. In this way, you are not going to waste your fabric. Do you get it? But if you don't do it that, and then you just go straight ahead, fold and cut your 90 inches, you realize that at the end of the day, you have a lot left here. So in order not to waste the fabric, this is how you go about it. So you divide it into 2, and then you will join it and then get a longer one to gather for your gathers or pleat it. Do you get it? Then you add your band to it. Now when you are going to divide it into 2, bear in mind the length you need is 20. Then you add 1 in to make it 21. So 21 times 2 is going to be 42. So you are going to have your 42 here, 42 here. Then you cut, and then cut on that line. So it means this can solve your band. You can use the rest here to make your skirt band. Are we okay? And so this is how you fold your fabric. In order not to waste fabric as a beginner, you need to be cautious on all this. So make sure you get your measurements right, you get your everything okay, and then fold it starting from the edges. Don't just go ahead, fold, and then place your measurement in the middle and then cut it anyhow. You will waste your fabric. Okay, so put this aside, and then we'll look at this fabric also. Now when you look at this fabric, you could see that it has a directional pattern. The flower is going this way, and so it means this fabric, you cannot just fold it anyhow. You have to consider the direction of the flower. If it's going this way, then at the end of the day, when you are folding, you cannot fold and make this part the upper part and then make this part the down part. No, you have to consider which direction is the flower going. You get it? And so if you are going to sew a straight dress, let's assume you are going to sew a straight dress, just the same principle that we used in folding the other one is the same principle you are going to use. But this time around, you are going to consider where the flower is going. Don't just fold the fabric and then cut. Consider where the flower is going. This is the edge of the fabric, and because of the where the flower is going, this is going to be the down part, and this is going to be the upper part, because you don't want to sew a dress and it will turn upside down. And so just like the same principle, you have to consider which part is the bigger measurement. If it's a straight dress, is it the bust which is the bigger measurement, or the hip? If you don't know how to take measurements, check the description box for a link to how to take measurement. And then you fold it this way according to your bigger measurements, and then you place your measurements on it, considering the fact that this is the down part and this is the upper part. So at the end of the day, this is where you place your neck measurements, your bust measurements, your hip measurements, and then if it's pencil, this is where you're going to get a pencil shape. So by the time you finish, you have the design in it beautifully. You have not turned it upside down. Sometimes there are certain styles, maybe you want this big flower to lie in the middle exactly. Then you have to open up this way, and then we are going to consider, and if you want to make such a design, bear in mind that you will use a lot of fabric, or let me be blunt, you will waste fabric, because at the end of the day you are going to consider, okay, this is where the design is. My bust, maybe my hip is 40. I'm going to divide it into 220, because we have opened the fabric this way. So if it's 20, it means at the end of the day, this flower is going to be in the middle. Okay, it's going to be exactly in the middle. So I'll take my 10 inches and place it on where the flower is, and then mark 10 inches here, including my allowance. Maybe the 2 inches allowance, I'll add it and make it 12, and then mark another. Then I'll come and mark the 20 here, you see, and then add the extra 2 inches allowance, and then get the line straight and get the other part also straight. And then I'm going to cut it and get it, so that when I sew at the end of the day, this flower will be in the middle. But if you are not considering to get this flower in the middle, then you are going to fold it exactly the way we went about it. So how you fold your fabrics, do you get it? Whether you are cutting skirts, straight dress, whatever you are cutting, these are the things you need to consider. And then this is how you need to fold. Don't just pick the fabric, fold it into two, and then place it in the middle and start cutting. No, it is not done that way. Okay, so we are going to put this aside and then consider the stretchy fabric. Okay, so with stretchy fabrics too, I'm using these two to teach you the difference. Now, some of the stretchy fabrics, you get the stretchy fabric to stretch in any direction. Like this, you see, it's a stretching. When you pull it this way, it stretches. When you pull it this way, it stretches. When you pull it this way, it stretches. So it stretches everywhere. So with this, the folding is not a problem at all. Do you get it? You can just follow the principles that we used in what? In folding the fabric, the printed fabrics, and use the same principle to fold this. And with this, it doesn't have any prints in it, so anywhere can be front, anywhere can be up, anywhere can be down. Do you get it? Now this one, this lycra fabric, the stretching is different. You see, when I pull it this way, it stretches. You see, it stretches. But let me pull it down, it doesn't stretch. Down like this, it doesn't stretch. But this is stretch. Now if you have a stretchy fabric like that, then it means you have to consider how you fold it. If you are going to fold it, you are going to fold it to the stretchy parts. Don't fold it to where it doesn't stretch. When you fold it to the stretchy part, at the end of the day, even if the measurements you reduce it, the person can still wear it because it stretches. But if you fold it at where it doesn't stretch, the stretchy part is going to be at the downside. You get it? And so when you are cutting a stretchy fabric, consider where it stretches to either this way or this way, and then fold your fabric according to the stretch. You don't consider that. You realize that sometimes you will cut maybe the front where it stretches, and then the back it doesn't stretch. And so when it's like that, it's not really professional. And so consider that. Do you get it? Okay. And so if you're lucky and you have all to be stretching like this, then you don't have much problem. Okay, so this is basically how to fold your fabric as a beginner, whether you are placing your pattern on it or whether you are folding to mark your measurements on the fabric and cut. And so this is it. Please, if you have any question, if you need any clarity, put a question in the description box for me. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing, like and share this video for me. Have a blessed day. Bye bye.